Taking time for your local news week in review here on AM 960 KLTF. Brian Fitz Sr. was sentenced Wednesday morning in Dakota County to life in prison without parole. Fitch was found guilty of all counts, including first-degree murder in the death of Mendota Heights police officer Scott Patrick after a traffic stop on July 30th. Jurors deliberated for about 8 hours on Monday before giving the guilty verdict. 33-year-old Joshua Bennett, biker of Little Falls, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for 2 burglaries that occurred within minutes of each other in 2013. Biker pled guilty to 2 counts of burglary in the first degree of an occupied dwelling on December 1st. Biker was sentenced Wednesday by Morrison County District Court Judge Douglas P. Anderson. The first sentence called for a 36-month sentence, the second for 60 months. Both sentences will run concurrently. 39-year-old Daniel B. Gamboa of Little Falls was sentenced to 75 months in prison following his conviction of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree. Gamboa was arrested on April 18th of 2014 after a person reported finding pornographic photos of a child on his cell phone. Officers interviewed Gamboa, who admitted sexually touching the 8-year-old in the photos and having the child touch him. Gamboa also admitted to taking nude photos with his cell phone. Gamboa pled guilty to criminal sexual conduct on December 17th in Morrison County District Court. A sentencing hearing was held on Wednesday in front of Judge Conrad Freeberg. Gamboa was also ordered to register as a predatory offender and provide a DNA sample for storage and comparison. After prison, Gamboa will be on conditional release for 10 years with the possibility of another 120 months in prison if he violates conditional release. A lesser count of child pornography possession was dismissed. Habitat for Humanity of Morrison County invites the public to participate in the dedication ceremony of their 15th home in Morrison County on Friday, February 13th at 4:30 p.m. in Little Falls. The address of the home is 1307 2nd Avenue Southwest in Little Falls. The dedication of the home is a celebration of a community effort built on the foundation of God's love. Friends, family, and volunteers from all walks of life have helped build this home. Newly elected board president Adolph Raby commented, "We welcome volunteers who helped build the home, contractors, suppliers, neighbors, friends, and Habitat supporters to attend and celebrate. Please join us." Once the home is completed, the family signs mortgage papers and begins making payments to Habitat for Humanity that includes taxes and insurance. To volunteer, learn more, or to apply to be a Habitat for Humanity homeowner partner, please call the office at 616-2084. A mental competency examination has determined that 53-year-old Dean Fries is competent to proceed to trial on charges that he stabbed his mother to death in September of 2013 at a St. Cloud apartment. Fries is charged with first and second-degree murder. He is accused of killing 72-year-old Lois Arlene O'Mara, who lived in the same apartment building as Fries. Fries was in court Tuesday for a brief hearing in front of Stearns County District Court Judge Frank Kundrat. The attorneys representing Fries didn't object to the finding that Fries was competent to proceed to trial, but they asked the judge to hold off on adopting a determination that Fries wasn't suffering from a mental illness at the time of the killing, and that it didn't prevent him from knowing if he was doing something wrong. That leaves open the possibility that his attorneys will assert a mental illness defense at trial. The case has been set for a hearing in mid-April, and attorneys hope to bring the case to trial later this year. Fries has a history of mental illness that has led to several commitments and court-ordered administration of medication. Candidates are being sought for the next mayor of Baxter. During a workshop Tuesday night, the Baxter City Council looked at the option to appoint the next mayor. Those interested are asked to send a letter of interest to the Baxter City Hall by February 20th. The interview process and likely appointment of the next mayor will occur at the February 24th meeting. The new mayor would then take oath of office on March 3rd. Longtime Mayor Daryl Olson resigned on January 20th after he was given a choice to leave the office or lose retirement benefits based on a little-known Minnesota law. Crow Wing County authorities are asking anyone with information about a suspicious fire that destroyed a man's home and damaged his nearby business. They're to call the Minnesota Arson Hotline. The blaze at Grandpa's General Store in Merrifield, about 15 miles north of Brainerd, happened in the early morning hours of November 1st and was reported by a passerby who spotted flames from County Road 3. Investigators discovered gasoline trails surrounding the home and store. 3 other nearby buildings were doused with gasoline but never caught fire. Anyone with information or who may have saw anything suspicious in the area around the time of the fire is asked to call the Minnesota Arson Hotline at 1-800-723-2020. A $2,000 to $6,000 reward is available for information or assistance that leads to an arrest. The owners of Grandpa's General Store are repairing the shop and hoping to open in the spring. The house was a total loss. The fire remains under investigation by the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office and the Minnesota State Fire Marshal. The Internal Revenue Service has issued its annual Dirty Dozen list of tax scams, reminding taxpayers to use caution during tax season to protect themselves against a wide range of schemes ranging from identity theft to return preparer fraud. The Dirty Dozen listing, compiled by the IRS each year, lists a variety of common scams taxpayers can encounter at any point during the year. Many of these schemes peak during filing season as people prepare their tax returns. Taxpayers should be on the lookout for tax scams using the IRS name. This according to IRS Commissioner John Coonskin. These scams jump every year at tax time. Scams can be sophisticated and take many different forms. We urge people to protect themselves and use caution when viewing emails, receiving phone calls, or getting advice on tax issues. Illegal scams can lead to significant penalties and interest and possible criminal prosecution. IRS Criminal Investigation works closely with the Department of Justice to shut down scams and prosecute the criminals behind them. For a full list of scams to be mindful of when filing or receiving tax return information, go to www.irs.gov. Last Friday around 2:40 p.m., the Morrison County Sheriff's Office responded to a vehicle that was partially submerged through the water on Lake Alexander in Scandia Valley Township. Upon arrival, it was discovered that the car was unoccupied. Deputies found that the car belonged to 55-year-old Lawrence Dewald of Browerville. Dewald told deputies he was driving his vehicle across Thoroughfare Bay on Lake Alexander when the vehicle broke through the ice. Dewald made it out of the vehicle safely and was not injured. Sheriff Sean Larson wants to remind residents that it is extremely dangerous to drive or walk on channels and pressure ridges. The ice has always been variable conditions and is never completely safe. Caution is always recommended before venturing out onto the ice. That concludes this week's Local News Week in Review. Thanks for listening.